whiskey one. Shit's hit the fan, we're overrun. Sending boys in the trucks with the 50 cals. Tell every swinging dick bring extra rounds. Hang in now, boys, we're on our way. Don't send them all to heaven before we get a taste. Whoa, cry havoc, let's slip the doors of room. What you gonna do?
And happy Sunday to you, folks. Welcome back to the Double S Podcast. We are live. If you've been watching us, the past two shows have been recorded. Not tonight. Tonight, we are back live again. We appreciate you guys tuning in to us here. Or if you're watching at a later time, we appreciate that. We thank you very much. Hey, man, Thanksgiving is concluded. So now, because we are not holiday heathens, now we can begin the Christmas time. The decoration can go up, and we can get into the Christmas spirit. We actually started... my family did, my wife and I, we started the holiday season off proper by throwing Hans Gruber off the Nakatomi Plaza. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, don't care what you say. And we watched that, of course, Friday night, the day after Thanksgiving. That lets us know that the Christmas season is in. So now pretty much we have our list here, of certain films. And, we go down through it every year. It helps us get in there. And, of course, the decorations going. I've got some flashing snowflakes behind me. And I'm going to be honest, one of them was making a funny noise. So somebody say something in the comments or whatever. If one of them starts to, like, smoke or anything behind me, that would be awesome. Let me know because it might take me a minute to see it. So, hey, man, it's been a hot minute. So let's go ahead and pay the bills. We got a great show lined up for you tonight. Really, really cool guest coming in here, and we're going to learn all about him together. I've had a chance to speak with him a few times in email, and then also just a little bit before the show here. So this is going to be a super cool chat. We're gonna learn all about this guy's background, and then of course this book that he has, which is phenomenal. We put the link for that in our social media post that we put out there. So definitely go check that out. It'll take you right to Amazon. You can check out that book. And I think would make a great Christmas present, a great stocking stuffer there. Let's go ahead and get the bills paid here. Each one of the Double S podcast shows this past season and all seasons that we will be on the air, brought to you by the Romans Warrior Foundation. # helping is healing. Go check them out at romanswarriorfoundation.org. That is our family over there. All the different ways of healing and such that they bring across this nation from shore to shore through all the different divisions they have. Of course, the biggest one being the Global War on Terror's Wall of Remembrance, the only mobile monument in the United States traveling that is dedicated to the entire GWAT era. That's 1983 forward up to the debacle withdrawal that took place there. That memorial there, if you want to get it involved in your local community and truly watch healing take place there, reach out to the Romans Warrior Foundation. Let's get you on the calendar for 2026. It's already starting to fill up with stops all around the U.S., so definitely reach out now, and we'll get you in touch there. And of course, the True Patriot Outfitters, fishing with a mission, kayak fishing, camping trips for our nation's warfighting families and our local community heroes. Go check us out. None of this possible without the Heroes Media Group, Adam Bird, all the fantastic podcasts that are over there, our co-workers out there that are working on the other podcast shows. Check out Heroes Media Group, and of course the sister company HMG Beverage. Get you some coffee, proper like, as I told you before, Kickstart. That's the one that you can't go wrong with. I'll absolutely love it. It's some good stuff. All right. Bills are paid. What do we got here? Let's see here. Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo. All right. Cool, man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in Mr. Alan Brown to the show here. Wabam. How are you, Alan? How's it going, man?
Good, Gene. Thanks for having me. Excited to be on the show and chat it up a bit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is we've already started having a pretty good convo, before air here. So this should be, super fun. The connection obviously came through the Heroes Media Group. You made a connection with somebody in there that was associated with us, got your name. When I found out kind of a little bit more about your bio, I'm like, this falls right in line, man. This is a dude that engages the outdoors. He's found peace there. He finds all kinds of, resources with the outdoor, life, and especially where you're living up there in Alaska, coming to us from the land of the icebergs and actual wolves and bears.
Bears and moose and all the things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the things. And so, yeah, man, it just made total sense to get you. And then every time I read something about you, it gets more and more interesting. So this is super cool, man. We appreciate you coming on here.
Well, I'm super excited, and yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. And uh, just Alaska has been a blessing for us. In fact, I was just out just before this, walked down to by the river. We live in a really small um, community, kind of nestled in a mountain valley by the Eagle River. The town is called Eagle River. We're about 20-25 minutes north of Anchorage proper, but when you get out to where we live, it feels so isolated and so just away from everything. And we can go hike for miles, let the dogs run and go down to the water. Whether it's, 2 feet of snow or in the middle of the summer, just get away and escape and just see mountains on both sides. It's just crazy. Although we're in the dark season now. The sun will not hit our home probably until like the second week of February now.
So I was going to say, how long is that? So it's basically just kind of like is it dark night, or is it like a dusk dawn type thing?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll get sunlight down here in Anchorage or Eagle River for, we're coming up on the darkest part of the year. So I came downstairs to get ready for this, and it was just barely twilight, and it was like at 4:15. Uh, Come about 3-4 weeks from now, it'll be like 3:15. It'll be pretty dark, and then we won't really see the full light until maybe like 9 or 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. So
Right.
you're looking at 6 hours of good sunlight, and then the sun dips down.
Right.
Uh, but we we do have an initial blanket of snow on the ground, so that lightens things up actually, particularly if we have any moonlight.
Yeah.
Um, and then all our trail systems, or many of our trail systems, I guess I would say, particularly our cross country ski trails, they all are lit.
Oh, wow.
We can go out and go cross country skiing in the middle of the night with the lights and just get out of
Right.
the house and get the air and be outside. And in fact, my whole family is very involved in our local Nordic ski group. We've been coaching for years, and we get out every, Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, get the kids out there at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the night. And whether it's, 30 degrees or 0 degrees, we're out there with the kids running around and skiing on the trails up and down the hills. Um, if you don't, you can kind of go a little nuts if you don't get outside. Depending on who you're at, some people go snow machining, ice fishing, the downhill skiing is not too far away. But plenty of Nordic cross country skiing, snowshoeing. Um, but I'd say about by early November, late October, early November, we're all starting to itch for snow. If we don't get a good blanket of snow, things just don't go quite right here. We're sitting on like 7 inches, which is really weak sauce for this time of year. So we're ready for like a big dumping, so we can kind of get on with our winter activities.
Yeah, brother, we're going two different directions. I used to sit there and say and tell myself, I got to have some snow for Christmas and this and that. Dog, I'll tell you what, a couple of years ago, I was like, no, I can decorate a palm tree. I'm pretty sure of it.
Yep.
I would be okay with that. Yeah,
Yep.
I did my time in Minnesota. I would love the day that would show up that I could sell that snowplow that I have, my snow machine, because it's way overkill for Colorado. It really is. I mean, we get snow here, but the sun comes out and wipes it out, right?
Yep.
So it's, yeah, for the most part, I'm over it. My wife took me to the North Shore, Panama City, Florida for my birthday. I was like, oh, honey, you better be careful doing that because, man, did I like that.
This feels really good.
Ooh, yeah, it did. 50 degrees and everybody was freaking out down there. And I'm like, yes.
This is good.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's relative, right? So you're 50 degrees, you're happy and comfortable. Shoot, for 45 degrees, we're like, all right, take off the jackets. We can do shorts.
Yeah, that's it's a different deal. So let's quickly let's cover some back history here. You are a 23-year veteran of the United States Army. Did you retire from the U.S. Army?
I did.
Yeah.
2020.
2020, outstanding.
Yep.
What and you've had a lot of deployments. Looking across there, you've been all over the place during your U.S. Army. What did you do in the Army?
So, gosh, I've had 3 distinct careers in my 23 years, but I started out in the field that I thought was the most transferable to civilian world because that's, of course, what I was going to do, right?
Right.
I did ROTC out of college and had every intention to fulfill my obligation and pay back my scholarship. And so I chose the personnel field because that made sense. I could transfer it over to the civilian world, and because I knew I was getting out in 5 years or 4 years or whatever it was.
Right.
So I chose the personnel route. I wasn't like a super high speed, hardcore soldier, at least at that time in my life. So I chose the personnel field. Went to Germany for 3 years, had an amazing time. Got to lead some soldiers and as an XO and a battalion staff officer over there and just had an amazing time. Came back. I was stationed in Fargo, North Dakota at the MEP station there. So you mentioned Minnesota. I totally relate. Lots of snow goes by, but not much falls.
Right.
And
it's getting blown sideways.
Yep. And you can judge it, the quality of it. I don't know. I enjoyed Fargo, but we spent a lot of time in the whatever local bar was down on the corner because it was warm and everybody was friendly and happy. So
exactly.
And I got out. True to my word, I got out after 5 years. That was always my plan, and moved back to the Pacific Northwest. I grew up just outside of Portland, Oregon. And then I got out in January of 2001.
Okay.
And did the civilian thing and was not super satisfied with it. It was tough and challenging. But then 9/11 happened, and I felt like I was missing something. The fact that I wasn't able to wear a uniform again right after 9/11 felt kind of unfortunate for me. I felt out of place, and that I really wanted to be wearing a uniform. I wasn't necessarily looking for a fight, but there was something that I felt like I was missing. I felt really guilty that I was no longer in.
Oh, wow.
And I got laid off from the job that I had. I think God was telling me that it was definitely time to get back into the military game, I guess, and found myself right back. I was right back on active duty exactly 1 year after I got out the first time.
Wow. That sense, that obligation to service, man, that is, I've always said this, is that those the veterans that I've always, come in contact with, service has always been a part of just who they are. And it's a thought of being a desire to try to help and to serve others, be it community, family, wherever it's at. And that it's a strong pull, and it can manifest itself in some really weird ways sometimes. And for you, obviously hearing that, the guilt piece that was coming in, that was there, that you felt like, Chet, I should be there. I should be doing, like you said, it's not looking for a fight, but doing your part to help those out there that were, in the fight. Yeah.
Yeah. I really found, I missed being around soldiers. I was a young officer at the time, and I had just enough good non-commissioned officers that were there to teach me how things were supposed to go, and to let me know, what my job was and how I could have an impact on the soldiers. But just the daily camaraderie, the teasing, the fun, the cutting up, the just the culture.
Yes.
You don't realize how ingrained that becomes until it's gone. And then you're in corporate America and nobody gives a shit. And you just don't, there's no motivation. There's no, what's the right word? Their motivation to connect with their team is not the same as it is when you're, in charge of 40 or 100 service members that are all took the same oath that you did, and recognize that everybody's there for each other and nothing's going to happen without everybody working as a team. You don't get that outside of the military as much, and it really hit me like, wow, I don't have much of a sense of purpose outside the military. And so when 9/11 happened, I really didn't feel like I had a sense of purpose. And then I felt I clamored to get back in. And fortunately, they took me back in about a millisecond, and I was right back on active duty. And then from there, I ended up getting sent to Korea for a couple of years, almost just under a couple of years. I got posted up close to the DMZ at Camp Casey, Korea, led a company of soldiers up there. And everybody up there has a go to war mission, whether you're personnel or logistics or infantry or armor. Everybody gets their hands dirty and spends time out in the field and has a wartime mission that they have to train for pretty much all the time. Then I transitioned. I got an opportunity to go teach at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. I took that and went to grad school in Colorado State in Fort Collins. Went to West Point for 3 years and taught freshman English and literature at West Point. That's an active duty job, believe it or not. And
wow.
Aren't familiar with that, and I wasn't either, because I didn't go to West Point. I learned about it from a friend of mine and thought it would be interesting to go and do. I've always been kind of interested in teaching. I'm a self-professed English nerd from the very, very beginning, which
That's
doesn't
awesome.
really fit my military persona, I have to tell you.
You have many layers, Alan. You have many layers. That's all it is.
I guess,
like a parfait.
Yeah, nobody knows how to take it. And so I 3 years there and enjoyed teaching composition and literature, poetry, Shakespeare, all those things that so many people don't think are really important necessarily in a military academy. But I would argue that, you're trying to make well-rounded leaders that can think for themselves. Yep. And understand ambiguity, and really reading complex literature and learning to think for yourself and communicate through writing in a sophisticated way is pretty essential, I think, to a leader who wants to lead soldiers.
100%, man. And going back a little bit, one of the things you talk about, we hear this quite a bit. It's one of the motivating factors and one of the pillars for the TPO is that transition period coming from active duty into civilian life. That tribal connection is gone. Right. That's really what it is. Like you said, the motivating factors for us, the civies out here, is just not the same. Albeit completely on a much lower level, even in as a first responder with the dive rescue team in Larimer County, I still have people that I served with there are still people that I'm staying contact with today. And that was 20 plus years ago. And it's my time spent with them was so vital, when knowing that, I'm basically their lifeline on this mission, that we're going on. When they're in the water and they're in harm's way, if I'm on shore, shore support there, basically it's me that's going to have to, watch them, and make sure that we get them back. So that bond you pick up there is a much smaller level, but it's a relatable sense. So I hear that a lot. And then of course, just the bonding. I always tell people this when we go out on kayak fishing trips, the moment I get, especially in the combat vet era, when I get a combat vet that starts hacking on me or calls me a name or something with the fishing, inside I'm like, yes, all right, we made the connection, we're in.
If old vet respects you enough to start dogging on you and make fun of you, you've broken through.
Yeah. It's 100%. And I'm like, good. Cause now I can unleash mine back and we begin our relationship, it really starts to flow there.
It's funny when you can sort of tongue in cheek, but you can measure the quality of a military or first responder relationship by the volume of shit that each other throws at each other.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah. Cause I mean, and I don't know why, but that's always been second nature to me. So when I learned that about the veteran community, I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, I was meant to hang out with these guys because I love this. I respect the hell out of that.
Yep.
And that's,
if they're not giving you a bad nickname or dogging on you or picking on you or something like that, you ought to be suspicious because they probably don't trust you or think much of you.
And that's the whole key, right? Is building that trust, building that, and we live in our own skin, right? I don't go around talking, we don't use the T word that much at all, because we don't provide therapy. We just don't, right? I have a lot of degrees myself, but not a one of them's in that area. And we don't provide that. What we're providing is 100% therapeutic. There's no doubt about it. Getting out amongst, your peers and getting in the outdoors and, truly in a structured environment. Sure, it does that. But our whole piece is, look, man, we're going to go fishing. We're going to take you out here and we're going to try to have a good time. And hopefully we can shut down all the voices on the outside for a little while and let you recharge, right? That's what we're trying to do is give somebody a space to recharge, get things back, get some clarity. And it's that piece there. Mother Nature does the work, right? I'm just over here tying stupid fish in knots. That's pretty much my whole MO out there.
Yeah.
So this piece here. So you go through. You're doing some teaching. When did the poem writing start to come in? What were you doing that through your entire service, or was that something that evolved later down the line?
So I started dabbling in writing poems in college. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know where it started, but I started dabbling in poetry. I sort of self-published a couple of books in college, which really amounted to a copy machine and a spiral binder. But for me, poetry's kind of always been, or writing creative nonfiction, short stories, and so forth. It's always been a way of processing things that I couldn't necessarily make sense out of. So
nice.
One of the things, like when I'm teaching, like writing is thinking. So if you're sitting there at the keyboard or you're scribbling on a notebook, just the act of, generating those words coming from your brain, that stream of consciousness, that in itself is a cognitive thinking process. And you might not be able to get to some of the places in your head about certain topics or subjects without actually writing, whether it's a poem or a short story or journaling. That action, and it's different for everybody. For me, I like to scribble in a notebook and just let the mind vomit kind of go out, and then
Right.
yeah. And that process, and usually always do it in cursive, because cursive allows the brain connections that, say, printing doesn't. It's totally weird.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, so I have to do it in cursive because there's something about keeping the pen to the paper that allows a certain connection in my brain that allows those things to flow. And it just comes out, and it that is like the best sort of mind grease I can do, right?
Mind grease. I love it.
Yeah, right. And then from there, I'm getting a little bit into my writing process, and I don't necessarily have to go down this route now, but then I can take that and type it into a keyboard and then start working on the editing process and so forth. So I started doing this in college, and yeah, I just started, some of my poems are really try to be really humorous and funny and off color. And maybe I was doing it for a little bit of an audience, and it kind of worked because some of my buddies thought it was funny because maybe I wrote a poem about being drunk and barfing after drinking too much beer. I mean, just something so banal and so typical of my college experience.
Right.
But as I was serving, as I was going through, particularly when I was teaching at West Point and teaching poetry and literature, I got back into writing and dabbling, and we were spending so much time reading it anyway. So I started collecting these poems, and they just kind of added up over the years. And after I didn't get there yet, but I did do a deployment to Iraq in March 2010 to March 2011. So I was there for a full year. My daughter at the time was like a year old. I'd only been married just a few years. And I don't think my deployment was particularly heinous or challenging, and relatively to my other colleagues. But it leaves you asking a lot of questions and trying to figure stuff out, and why do we do this, and what did this mean, and what did it mean when the convoy route the day after I was there and the same convoy blew up, and what would have happened if it blew up the day that I was on that route, but it blew up after I was on that route. It makes you think a whole lot of stuff. And
I bet.
The Army, the military, they love to say, well, you need to talk about this stuff and it's okay, and you got to get it out and all this stuff. And nobody really takes that too seriously. Nobody trusts that if you put yourself out there, that they really genuinely have your back and aren't going to hold that against you.
Right.
At least back in the times that I was there, nobody really trusts that, hey, I'm really working on something, I really need to talk to somebody, I really don't understand what this means. That's code for weakness. Now, I was an officer. You don't get to show your weakness when you're on active duty. You're not allowed to. You're the one who's supposed to uphold the standard. You're the one who has to have your shit squared away all the time. Otherwise you lose credibility. So poetry and writing was kind of a way for me to do this on my own.
Nice.
And most of it, I'd say, was done for me. Usually something would trigger and I would just get a random inspiration and just start writing something.
When did you realize that what you were doing there could actually help and actually heal others through that piece? When did that light bulb go, holy, yeah, well, shit, maybe this could help somebody else out here?
Yeah. Deep inside, I always wanted my writing to be relatable to folks. It's selfish to say that I want everybody to be able to understand what I was going through or relate to all my writing, because it's difficult, right? Everybody comes to a piece of writing with a different agenda. They come with a different experience and so forth. I would say I really got motivated to put this out there probably in the last couple of years.
Nice.
Um, I know that my experience is unique, but it's not entirely different from um, so many other folks. And I recently had a lot of extra time on my hands. I actually was a federal employee until March this year. I took the federal buyout, so I had a whole lot of time on my hands and this whole stack of poetry. And I was like, well, I better get off my ass. I don't have really an excuse to say I don't have time to put this together. Um, and so I just I just kind of started pulling stuff out of the cobwebs out of the woodwork that I had done, and tried to put together something that has a certain theme to it, has a progression, and was able to put it into a book form. And Amazon makes it really really easy to self-publish.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's kind of where it went. I would spend
awesome.
My son has activities every Tuesday, and I would drop him off and then go to the local brew pub, sit there with my computer, a couple of pints, and jam on whether it was editing or working on the proof or the cover design. Just it took several months to get it together, and finally got hit send and came out in September.
That is awesome. That is awesome. What took you to Alaska? Well, I mean, you had been all around the world. You'd been in the lower 48, probably assuming, quite a bit of the lower 48. Were you deployed in Alaska at some point? What was the draw there, and what was that final driving factor that pushed you up north?
Well, I was born here.
Oh, okay.
But I think I lived 6 months or 9 months or whatever, and then my dad and family left. So I was kind of an army brat as well. So I don't have any memory of it, but there was always this pretty strong allure of it, and the romanticism of Alaska was always something that intrigued me. But truth be told, it's not even a really crazy story. I mean, we had moved every summer for 3 years. We moved summer from West Point to Colorado. We moved 2 years later. We moved from Colorado to Kansas. And then we moved from Kansas to San Antonio, Texas. And then my wife is like, can we freaking stop moving?
Right.
My kids were 3 and 1 or 3 and 4 and 1.
Wow.
And she's just like, I'm sick of moving. Where can we go and stay for 3 years? I'm like, I want to go to Germany, because I did my first assignment in Germany. Germany was amazing.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, that kind of sounds interesting, but it's a long way away.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, it is. And she's like, where else can we go for 3 years? And I'm like, well, Alaska. And she paused for about 10 seconds and goes, Alaska's good. Let's go.
Oh, wow.
And so anyway, all right. And I was interested in it. It was a good job. It was a division level job. And I was towards the latter part of my career, or the later part of my career. And so I got up there, got the house. We lived in Eagle River, where we are now, but in a different little location. Got a little bit settled in, and I remember picking her up from the airport, and just the drive. It was a clear day. Just the drive from the airport up to where we were living it's majestic. There's so many mountains in the area.
Wow.
They still had a little bit of snow, maybe not, but it was just super clear, and the mountains are there. She stepped out onto the deck of our new house and took a deep breath and looked out and goes, I'm good here.
Love it, man. Love it.
And so we, and she's the last person. She hates cold. Like she'd rather be on the beach or somewhere with palm trees, as you alluded to earlier.
Yep. Yep.
And, she adapted and figured out that, staying warm is actually kind of an interesting, intriguing thing to do. And there's all sorts of cool equipment and kit you can buy to stay warm. And we got into testing, and we figured out how to keep her warm. And, there's a lot of transient folks here with the military. And so it wasn't that difficult to kind of find a quick community. And, it's just gorgeous here. I mean, like I said, the mountains are, where we are at, the mountains are pretty steep, and you can go climb one, just drive, 2 minutes and you can start climbing it. And
yeah, Colorado these days, you literally need reservations to Rocky Mountain National Park to drive up there.
no way.
Yeah, it's that crowded here in the state of Colorado that you can't just take a drive and run up 14 or 34 or whatever and get up to Rocky Mountain National. You literally have to call ahead and make sure and get your reservation so that you can drive your car across the road, to go look at the park. Yeah, it's
That's
ridiculous.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we don't have that.
Nice.
There's there's so many different trail systems and so many different ways to go just experience nature and the splendor that God made up here. The air is clean. There's no smog, zero smog, and just
Very nice.
clean air. And we make jokes about, sharing our yards with bears and moose and all that. And I mean, that's a thing. I've chased more bears off of my garbage can than I dare admit, which usually makes me the dumb one who's like, everybody else is like, well, dumbass, you leave your garbage out, they're going to come and get it, so you're but having moose and having, baby moose born in your backyard or hang out in your backyard for a couple of days is pretty special.
Oh,
And,
man. Yeah.
I think we kind of take it for granted a little bit here, but it's always fun telling the stories to our family down the Lower 48 or friends and so forth, and sending them pictures of a moose where the dog normally hangs out in the yard. There's a 1,000-pound moose just hanging out, occupying their space.
That's crazy. And it's that connection, right? It's that when you start to truly learn how to live alongside, Mother Nature without pushing it the hell out like our subdivisions do out here. There's a real cool connection that takes place with that. This piece here, this all leads to the transition up there, and then like you said, you got the life going that allows you some space for motivation to write. The book now, is this the book that you released? Is this a series of poems? Is this what is the whole premises behind the book itself?
Yeah. So I wrote the poems and the prose in this book probably over the course of 5 or 6 years. And that's, different occurrences, different reflections, different experiences that I needed to make sense out of. And I didn't put everything that I have in there, but I wanted to get a sampling and take my readers on kind of, I don't know, it feels really cliche to say, take my readers on a journey. But I wanted to give a representative sample of service, what it's like to raise your right hand and make a commitment. I wanted to share a little bit about family and how important that is. And I know that's universal, so that's not anything particularly unique to service. But I also wanted to share and process and hopefully communicate with other veterans that when you take that uniform off, it's not it's not a guarantee. It's not a smooth experience always. It's confusing and it's challenging and it's difficult. It's rewarding, but at the same time, it's not. You get out of the military and all life is good. It's a challenge, and I think anybody that's served for a while, whether it's 4 years or 24 years, figuring out what we want to do with when we grow up after we take the uniform off is a challenge, and it's not just a gimme. So I kind of wanted to, so that the book kind of takes a reader on that journey. Like, here's service. This is what it means. I give I spend a little bit of time talking and writing about the Greatest Generation. There's a couple of poems in there about World War II era folks and their experience. Because I think that is probably a whole other podcast. But I think that our culture is never, our military, our culture has never gotten to where the level of honor and patriotism and grit and sacrifice that our grandparents' generation did.
That's 100%. There's no question about that. That's fact.
So there's a poem in there about my granddad. He actually served the war, the entire war, up at Fort Warren, Wyoming.
Wow.
Just a couple hours from you, man.
Yeah, yeah.
And he tried to go. He wanted to go. They had orders to Philippines. He had orders to Europe, and his boss was a close personal friend of George Marshall. They were West Point cadets together. So every time my grandpa would get orders to go somewhere else during the war, his boss would call up Georgie Marshall in DC and say, "Yo, I need Brown here. Turn his orders off." And so my grandpa served the entire war at Fort Warren, Wyoming, and never got to go overseas or anything like that. And I remember him telling me about how he actually supervised and was the quartermaster there. He was responsible for issuing all the German and Italian POWs that were kept there their food.
Oh, wow.
And so they knew to get on his good side because he was kind of their lifeline. I mean, he was the one that decided whether they got, the beef or the pork or the chicken or whatever. And people don't realize that there were POWs at Fort Warren, Wyoming necessarily. I didn't realize it until he told me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I had no idea.
So there's a poem in there about his experience there. I kind of juxtapose his experience in Fort Warren, Wyoming with Major Dick Winters in Band of Brothers. Actually, it's hard to explain, but there's a poem in there called Binge Watching Band of Brothers, and I'm going through this process of like, what would it be like if my grandpa was in Dick Winters' position at Easy Company in Toccoa, Georgia? How would he go through dealing with Captain Sobel? And how would he go through the war?
Wow.
Yeah, it's if you know Band of Brothers, it'll connect with you if you're familiar with the story.
The name of the book is When the Uniform No Longer Fits, Reflections on Military Service, Family, and Being a Veteran. I just put the link in the comment section out there on all the channels, folks. So definitely give that a click. It'll take you right to the Amazon page. I made a short URL out of it. So yeah, definitely check the book out there. Having an opportunity to express and appreciate. I've always said this. One of the greatest things I learned early on getting into these spaces was that as much as I wanted to, deep down, I wanted to fully understand what you had gone through. in these situations. But what I learned from the very beginning was that no matter how much I want to, I never will truly fully understand it. But what I can do is absolutely appreciate and do my best to fully take in the information and process it and try to put myself in that decision making process piece, especially when I hear some of the combat stories and such. It's obviously for me it's like, yeah, I couldn't, I have no idea how I would react to something like that. It's impossible for me to know. So in taking these poems and basically putting it gives even civilians an opportunity to see these situations and I guess the view from your side. It gives another lens, another medium, if you will, to get that message across. That's why, to me, it's absolutely brilliant. I love it. And we know that the journaling piece and things that engage our other senses like that. We know the benefits of the healing that comes from that. That's documented stuff. So yeah,
Mhm.
the now, how long has the book been out there on Amazon right now?
It came out the latter part of September,
Nice.
so it's been out there a little bit, and yeah, I think I think it's important to say that every veteran experience is unique,
Hmm.
and I am definitely not trying to generalize all veterans by any means, and I think it should come clear if somebody reads it and so forth. It's very much my own experience, but I also share experiences that maybe I didn't actually experience, but I know many of my colleagues and comrades did.
Right.
That's the wonderful thing about poetry is there's no rules, right? You can kind of break them. I think that's what drew me to poetry to begin with, to be honest. Like there's no rules. There's nobody telling you that this is wrong or this doesn't isn't any good. As long as it's honest and it's from the heart and it's gritty and truthful, then you can get away with it.
Very cool.
Um, but to guys out there that have their own baggage and their own trying to process their own stuff, um, you know, I think poetry gets a bad rap because people don't may or may not understand it. They may be not as comfortable with the genre. There's no rules. You can put words down in any order in any way that makes sense to you. Um, and it's nice because poems generally are a lot shorter and a lot more to the point. And I think that like for somebody that is looking to process something or get something out or communicate something or share something, I think it's a great medium for that. Um, because you can do a poem in a short period of time. You can put those words down very raw and um, abrupt in some ways, and it's okay. And just that process can be so helpful in whether it's more of a longer term healing or a short just get it out and feel better about
Yeah.
it.
Being able to put things right, it's not compartmentalized, but it's more organized, right? It's that trying to organize these things, these thoughts on what's going on. And yeah, the poetry just might be that method to use. We know the therapeutic benefits that come from it. There's no question about that. That's been in there. Now, earlier in here, you had mentioned your involvement in another organization called Huts for Vets. Talk to me about that. What is that all about?
Yep. So I think very much in the same charter as what you have with your organization about getting
Yeah.
veterans outside into nature and just get away from the distractions and so forth. Huts for Vets has been around for maybe 15 years. I'm going to get the timing wrong a little bit. I was turned on to it by another veteran colleague of mine, and they take groups, maybe anywhere from 5 to 6 groups a summer to Colorado. They base out of Basalt, Colorado, which is not too far from Aspen.
Right, right.
And they go up and they do some seriously legit hikes up up in the mountains there, and stay in the public use cabins up there. There's a whole series of cabins up there, and they'll, if you apply and if you're accepted, they'll fly you down to either Denver or Aspen and get everybody together. They have a base camp outside of Basalt, and you basically live in tents for 4 or 5 days, and then go hike up, to some ridiculous elevation, like from 7,000 to 10,000 feet, to where you literally can't breathe anymore.
The oxygen gets real tiny.
It's actually really liberating. And so I've done 2 trips with them. The first trip was the summer of 2024, where I was just a participant. And, it was so simple and so relaxing. There wasn't a really hard agenda. I mean, we spent time together. We did read some literature. We did read some poetry. We talked about, our own experiences in group sessions. We spent a lot of time on the trail, a lot of time, it took about 3.2 seconds for all of us to go back into to army speak and start throwing shit at each other. And, which is very, very characteristic of a group of guys who've been through a similar experience. It doesn't take long for us to all kind of break down the barriers and start poking at each other and go to the gutter, or go share all of our ridiculous, crazy experiences.
Exactly.
And there's something really it's vulnerable in some ways, but also very liberating about just kind of letting that guard down a little bit, knowing that you're with folks that have been through something similar. And so, Huts for Vets is one of many really, really great organizations. But I got to go this last summer as a moderator. Actually, they asked me back.
Nice.
And we hiked up just this amazing area out of Aspen. It was a good 7-mile hike straight up. It was a lung buster.
I was going to say, now, is it like groomed trails? Is it basically rock climbing? What's the severity level?
Really, just hiking. So they're just they stay on established trail systems and so forth. So we're not doing anything life threatening or too crazy.
Right.
We hike as a group and take as much time as we need, and stop for lunch and take a break. And, the idea is to get everybody up there so we can all experience nature together, and by ourselves. And we go and spend quiet time by ourselves and just get away. There's no phones, there's no computers, just that getting away for 4 days without that immediate electronic leash.
Right.
And, to breathe the clean air and to eat some good food and sit around the campfire and tell lies and stories and play cards and all that. It's just,
it's a bonding that takes place there, and like you said, when you have the opportunity to just be real, when you realize that there's no judgment from anybody in this group coming to you, you can speak your piece and say the things you need to say or have been worried about saying out, in civilian life there. You create an atmosphere that creates that, like you said, that trust, that safety area, that you can just be yourself for a while and unplug, man. That's huge.
Sure. Absolutely. And I think that model goes across so many different activities, whether it's fishing or hiking. Yep. Or different athletic pursuits. I mean, I know there's one, and I'm not gonna remember the name, and I wish I could give them a plug. There's like a dog mushing organization just not too far from where I live. It's all kind of focused on vets, and
so cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's been a cool experience. I think actually one of the poems that's in this book was generated this summer by sitting around and everybody sharing their horrific military experiences. Because we all have these like what the fuck moments while we're serving, and
Yep.
everybody was dumping these like you couldn't make this stuff up experiences on the table, and I just started jotting down notes about this. And the poem in the book is called SDIS, shin deep in shit, and the metaphor, the shin deep is shit, is a metaphor from all these like absolutely crazy, I can't believe I'm doing this experiences. This is absolutely the most miserable experience I've ever had.
Right.
But we all have them, and so it just piles all these experiences into one sort of humorous satirical poem called Shin Deep in Shit.
That's outstanding. That's right. Got a special place, in my heart for that. The entire name of our podcast, the Double S. I sat around a table of, I had a Marine, a soldier, and myself, and we were all trying to brainstorm the name we were going to change the name of the podcast because we were leaving the fishing specific podcast to more veteran space. And of course, leave it to my beloved brother, Marine. He goes, call it the shit show. And I'm like, I would love to call it the shit show. But the problem is, if I'm at the chamber and I'm trying to get somebody to come on the show and I go, hey, you want to be on the shit show with me?
Yeah.
I was like, so we got to have a little bit of a code name. And that's where we come up with the double S. We made sure we didn't drop SS next to each other. We were smart enough there. We just spelled out the word double and put an S from it. But yeah, that was the namesake. So yeah,
That's
love
awesome. I
love
hadn't
that.
made that connection before, just until you explained it to me.
Yeah,
But now I have far more respect for your podcast.
right.
Absolutely, the credibility just went through the roof.
Exactly. We wanted to make sure truth in advertising pretty much because, like poems, we have no rules here, so we can go off rail at any given
Yeah,
time. Especially when I start bringing on the guest, hosts and such. That's when things get a little
it's
squirrely
great.
with that. This is awesome, man. Just seeing the connection that you have with this, the from service to up there. What are you doing now besides being an author? What keeps your time covered now? Is it just being a dad? Is it being an author and a dad? What's got you up there?
Yeah, being a dad is probably my main focus. I've got a 16-year-old daughter.
Oh
Uh,
my lord!
yep, and a 13-year-old son. So junior in high school and eighth grader. And when you're not driving everybody or keeping my daughter's car running out of the ditch or without a flat tire or with gas.
Oh,
So
I feel you, brother. I got 4 years between mine. My daughter was the oldest. My son was the youngest. So yeah, thankfully now mine are all in their 20s and they're out of the house now. But I remember those days all too well.
being a dad, being as supportive of a husband as I can. My wife sacrificed so much while I was on active duty and did it without complaining too much, and wasn't able to really fully pursue her career in the way that she wanted to. And so now that we're settled, she's able to do that, and I'm really glad that she's fallen into a career and a job that is really rewarding to her.
That's awesome.
So supporting her there, I just started a new job with the local Parks and Rec department here in town, and we've got so many acres of trails here in town. So to be part of kind of nurturing and building that out a little bit in our community is hoping to. I'm looking forward to being a part of that as we build more trails and develop the ones that we have and maintain them and kind of keep everybody outside. That's definitely a part of our community ethos that I identify with and I'm excited to kind of be part of.
That is so cool. When you have a community that's dedicated to that, man, what a gift. Well, what a gift.
Yeah.
because
pretty cool.
it's easy to fall into other holes out there. What's next? What's next on here? How long before you think you publish the second book that you're gonna push out there,
Yeah,
or is it more authoring? What's the
I
next thing that you're looking
yeah,
at?
I've started. I actually have the first poem of the next installment is written. Um, I wrote a piece near Veterans Day actually, and uh, I kind of find that I can't rush it. It's got to happen organically, and so. But I'd love to put something else out. The writing process definitely helps me think about stuff, and I think it's a positive outlet. And the amount of time I'll spend hours and hours working over a 2-page poem, and that process I found is actually pretty healthy, or at least productive and engaging. So, yeah, I'd like to keep writing, but more than that, I need to stay outside and just appreciate where we're at and not get too wrapped up in all the other distractions that are not as healthy and not as productive and not as rewarding. But if I can block all that junk out and just stay outside and appreciate where we live and not get chased down by too many moose.
Yeah, that's not a small creature to be chased down by. How much fishing do you get into fishing much up there? Is it fly fishing? What's the
So I
main?
mean, there's all kind of fishing, and I'll be the first one to say I'm a really lousy fisherman. But my motivation is to keep my 3 freezers full. Um, so we dip net up here, and as
Okay.
as Alaska veteran or Alaska residents, you can qualify to dip net, and that's basically just a 5 foot diameter hoop with a 12-foot pole on the end, and you wade out into the mouth of the river during high tide, um, and wait for them to swim in the net. It's not as
Wow.
sporty, it's not as sexy, but when I can get 55 fish for my family, 55 red salmon in a season, and fill the freezer. That's a cultural thing here for sure.
Wow.
Netting is its own sport, in a way. It's pretty wild down there when it gets busy. And but yeah, we like to go. We'll every year, almost every year, we'll get a 6-pack charter and go out in Prince William Sound for halibut. On a good day, we can get, if I get the boat, I can get 6 halibut. Maybe if the silvers are running, maybe we can fill the boat with 20 some silvers if we're lucky. Maybe 18 to 20, yeah, and then some rockfish, some cod. Um, we've had some days where I spent like 2 days afterwards processing fish in a garage.
No wonder you got so many damn bears running around your house.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm starting to piece this together. See?
It's a genuine Alaska dilemma when your kids look at you in the exasperation and go, "Ugh, halibut again."
Again.
You're like, "Kid, you don't get it, do you? You don't pay prime dollar for this stuff down." Yeah. So yeah, I enjoy keeping the freezers full, and it doesn't get much more organic and healthy than that. But
Hell
if you
yeah.
are, I would say that the fishermen go down to the Russian River religiously from here and do the Kenai flip with their flies and try to snag them through the mouth or floss them through the mouth, and they're pretty good at that too. And
Wow.
if you want to go, if you come up and you rent a plane or get a float plane, you can fly into just about any remote place you want, and whether it's a stream or a mountain lake or whatever. I mean, it's pretty cool up here if you're really into angling, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I got to find out what the warm months are, and then then I'll get that on my schedule.
Relative. I'd come up in June, July, and you won't miss.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, man, that's seeing that connection that you have with all this, man, it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. The healing piece that comes with, and the ability to reconnect like that. It's a powerful, powerful thing. There's a lot of people out there that don't understand it. They think it's like it's a promotional thing. It's a sell. You're selling the outdoors. I've actually was told that I was this purist and I'm just selling the outdoors. And I looked at him like, are you out of your freaking mind, dude? I'm not selling anything. I'm promoting you to get off your ass and get outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting deal. But that it just sounds amazing where you're at, man. I love hearing, and like you said, we discussed this in email. There's so much more we could go on each one of those topics and go down. I wanted to try to cover, a good base for the hour here. I would love if you want to, you and I should talk, and let's have you come back and we'll hyper focus on, a couple of these areas here that you'd like to, go down and explore a little bit more, and we can absolutely spend more time in those areas.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Back and focus in on something. It's, I mean, it's just for me, just this right here is helpful. And, sometimes you gotta be able to validate what the hell you're doing to recognize that maybe you're actually on the right track. And
hell yeah, man.
I think this for me has been nice to, I mean, I can brag and talk about Alaska all day. It's just, it's super fun and I enjoy it. But,
see,
yeah.
and I feel the same way about Missouri.
Really?
I do. There's something about that state that I absolutely love. The state of the people down there, I just love the mentality of the folks down there, the way fishing is a part of life. Anglers are not looked at like weirdos like we are up here in Colorado. If you're an angler and you're not a fly angler, then what the hell are you? Type thing is pretty much what they look at us. I fish for bass primarily, and they're like, does that fish even exist in this state? It's like, good God, yes, you have bass in this state. Not a lot, not great, but they're here. So yeah, I always feel like when I show up back in Missouri there, when I get a chance to go fish there each year, it feels like it's home away from home. And so when you have a connection to a place, the waters, the wildlife, the environment, it's a cool thing to have.
Nice.
For sure. Well, awesome, man. Listen, folks, make sure to go over. I've put the link in the comment section on there. When the uniform no longer fits, reflections on military service, family, and being a veteran. Go check it out at Amazon. I just ordered my copy. Literally, as we were talking, I added it to an order of some nice warm socks that I need. So I clicked and added it in there so that, I want to get a chance. I don't read near enough, so this is going to be a great motivator for me to sit there and.
I would say in the back, if you do get it and get through it, and my email is in the back.
Nice.
Please share your observations, your reflections, your questions. I want to know what people think, and getting feedback is super, super important. If there's something that connects or something that you don't understand or anything, like, please email me. I would love to chat with anybody that has picked it up and read through it, and please, I'd be happy to hear from you. It would be super, super honor to hear from folks that have dug into it, and I'd be happy to start a conversation about it, or anything for that matter,
or call you names. They
absolutely,
do that too, right?
I'm going to start with that, actually.
Love it, man. Folks, be sure to go check that out there. Mr. Brown, thank you so much, man, for taking time out of your evening here and with your family and such to come chat with us here on a Sunday evening. Like I said, we'll definitely have you come back, and we'll do a deep dive on some of these other topics here and really try to hone in on a couple of those other areas.
That would be amazing. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to chat with you and hang out with your listeners.
You bet, man. You bet. You take care and just hang out with me here, and I'll as soon as I close out the show, I'll catch up with you after we drop off air. So just hang right back in the green room there. All right, folks, that's going to do it for another episode here of the Double S. Thank you for joining us live. Next week, guys, it's going to be an off-the-chain roundtable discussion we're going to have next week. For the first time ever, we are going to do it. We are going to have a show on faith. Now, we're not talking about going down and reading line for line. That's not the point. This is going to be a knuckle-dragon, blue-collar discussion about faith and about personal experiences. We got some stories to share. I have a great group of guys coming that sounds like the starting line of a joke. 2 Marines, a soldier, and an old civvy, walk into a podcast. That's basically what's going to be joining us next week as we sit down and we're going to talk. We're going to do, like I said, we're going to talk about faith, about the role it plays personally in society, you name it. Got 4 of us that are going to be in there that we're going to hash it up. We would love to have you join in the conversation, share your experience. If you have questions, fire them off. That would be an awesome deal there. Thank you again so very much for checking in. Go check out When the Uniform No Longer Fits, Reflections on Military Service, Family, and Being a Veteran. Go check that out at Amazon there. Look for you just type that in there in Amazon and it'll take you right to it there. Great price on it. Great stocking stuffer. Would be a cool deal supporting a vet author out there as well. Good stuff there. All right, folks, you know the routine. We can't do any of this stuff without you guys. So thank you so very much for all the follows, this and that. The TPO has drawn back from a lot of social media. You'll still catch us here on YouTube, and you'll still catch us, you'll see our show either through my personal page or through the Heroes Media Group channels that are out there. But the True Patriot Outfitters has stepped back from social media. Just the bottom line is we'll be talking about this probably a little bit more next week, but it's no sign of anything that's going on other than we're getting stronger and we're dialing in. We're going everywhere and up basically for 2026. It's setting to be an amazing year for the organization, and this is just part of that process. So don't worry about that. You can always still check us here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button at YouTube. That's a big help to us. As always, folks, tight lines, be safe, and take care of each other.